The next delegate, Aaron Kacharchuk. And if I mispronounced your name, please correct me. TDSB parent virtually. Are you there? *6 to unmute.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please begin. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a TDSB parent. Apparently, the Ombudsman requires that an issue is brought to the attention of the institution before they'll accept a complaint. And I'm tired of the usual process of me sending emails to the TDSB and Ministry of Education outlining legal violations and not even receiving a response. Instead, now you can expect a series of delegations, each outlining various instances in which the TDSB breaks the law, so that it is perfectly clear to everyone, both that it has been brought to the TDSB's attention and that neither the TDSB nor the ministry intend to do anything about it. For today, we're going to talk about the last thing this committee approved. This committee's last meeting was in June. You know, the meeting in which the room was full of people shouting at you. But I'm not referring to the Combating Hate report. That was the second last thing this committee approved. No, the last thing approved by this committee was the annual Caring and Safe Schools report. This report violates the Anti-Racism Act, both because of what the report includes and what it doesn't include. Due to my shortened delegation today, I will keep this focused on a particular exclusion from this report that violates the law. So what was excluded from that report that violated the Anti-Racism Act? Well, it does not monitor for systemic anti-Semitism as required by that act. But let's back up. What does the Anti-Racism Act say? Well, Section 2 of OReg 267-18, made under the Anti-Racism Act, requires school boards to collect race, religion, and ethnic origin information as it pertains to suspension data, among other types of data. That same section requires, pursuant to Section 5 of the Anti-Racism Data Standards, the publication of this data, which the Caring and Safe School Annual Report attempts to satisfy. This data relating to racial and ethnic origin can be found on pages 15 and 16 of Appendix A of that report. But what you will not see in the annual report that you approved is any reporting as it relates to anti-Semitism. Nothing. At a time when the TDSB is actively under serious criticism for failing its Jewish students and staff, the TDSB is giving our elected representatives and the public reports that do not include legally required assessments of systemic anti-Semitism. And what could it find if the TDSB did release its data as required by law? Well, from data in this report and other reports, I can piece together part of the picture. For instance, the available data shows that as the proportion of incidents of anti-Semitism increases over time, the suspensions issued for hate crimes decreases over time. Put differently, as anti-Semitism becomes more prevalent, the TDSB has opted to be more tolerant of hate crimes. For example, 5 years ago, 100% of incidents of anti-Semitism resulted in a suspension, and now that it's become even more prevalent and severe, it is closer to 10% of anti-Semitic incidents result in a suspension. But again, that's only part of the picture because you don't comply with the law and publish anti-Semitism data, which raises the question, why is it that the TDSB is not conducting assessments of systemic anti-Semitism as legally required by the Anti-Racism Act?
Has expired.
Thank you.
I'm looking around the room to see if there are any. Trustee McLean.
Thank you, Chair. Can you share with me the basis of your... Am I good? Thank you. Through the chair, can you share with me the basis of your assertion that 5 years ago, 100% of anti-Semitic instances resulted in suspensions?
Sure, you have to look at two different reports. You have to look at the Human Rights Report and the Caring and Safe Schools Report going back to 2018, 2019. Comparing those two numbers, you can see suspensions issued for hate crimes relative to the total number of hate crimes broken down by hate crime type. And then if you do the same analysis looking at this most recent reported year, you will come across the statistics that I provided.
So is it your position, sir, that all instances of anti-Semitism were reported, that existed in the, were reported, and therefore all resulted in a suspension?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm getting lost a little bit in the 100%. So are you suggesting that previously, 5 years ago, that anti-Semitism was treated differently and that all instances of anti-Semitism, which 100% would suggest, were identified and then therefore led to a suspension? Is that what?
All reported instances of anti-Semitism 5 years ago resulted in a suspension. Most recently, 10% of reported instances, closer to 10%, I believe the number is 14%, resulted in a suspension. I am not suggesting that all incidents of anti-Semitism were reported either then nor now, but the data is, I'm quite limited in the data that I have available because as the point of my delegation gets across, I hope got across, the TDSB does not publish systemic anti-Semitism data as required by law. So you're right to point out that it's not a perfect analysis. I'm doing the best analysis that I can based on the information that is available. And that analysis would get a lot better if the TDSB could comply with its legal obligations.
I have nothing further, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Trustee Dawson is next. Go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair. Just in building off of what Trustee McLean had said, is it, so with the 100%, is it your assertion that all incidents of anti-Semitism are coming from students?
Sorry, what I'm doing is presenting the data that the TDSB has made available back to you, right? What your reports say, going back to 2018, is that there was, I don't have the exact number in front of me, X number of instances of anti-Semitism, X number of incidents of hate crimes, and correspondingly, X number of suspensions issued for hate crimes, right? And so comparing those numbers, it results in 100%. It appears as though 100% of incidents of hate crimes and anti-Semitism resulted in a suspension 5 years ago. Now that exact same analysis, that exact same number in comparison is 14%. I understand what you're saying about how suspension data is not necessarily fulsome of who could possibly have committed a hate crime, but I think the numbers are still stark enough to convey the same point. And again, I would reiterate that I would like to see the TDSB publish the information it is required to at law so that a real analysis can be done.
Okay. Thank you for your delegation. And actually, if you could submit it to us in writing, that would be helpful. I'd like to look up some of the data you've referenced. So thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, Trustee Pei.
Thank you, Aaron, for your delegation. I have a question regarding clarification regarding is what type of data you're looking for the board to provide. I think you make the assertion like we break the law. So what you're looking for? What type of data you're looking for? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, you can see in the report itself the data that is presented as it relates to racial and ethnic origin breakdown. And you can see from the report itself that the same information is not provided in relation to religious breakdown. And when looking at the Anti-Racism Act, you can see that the same requirements apply to all three of those. So it seems quite clear to me that the TDSB does not comply with its legal obligations to produce systemic anti-Semitism data because it provides none. It doesn't even provide the same level of analysis that it provides in relation to other types of hate and discrimination. There are other problems with the report and the way in which it looks at that other data as well, but I think that that's probably a topic for another day.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for your delegation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just looking around in the room, online, seeing no other questions from trustees of clarification.